Yo, what's going on, man? Today is May the 7th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA Show, where we are live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. Couple quick things. First off, I got to do a quicker show today, so I won't get a chance to go through all the comments like I typically do. Second thing is, coming off getting smoked. Denver, absolute no-show at the crib yesterday. I don't even know how to describe it, man. Minnesota Timberwolves came in there, locked them boys up yesterday. Granted, they weren't getting any foul calls, but it was a terrible day for myself because I gave out a few. Well, I talked about liking the over in the first game, specifically the Pacers team total over against the Knicks. I didn't play that, and it was an easy winner. Full game also over cashed. The full game over also cashed. But this is what I played. I liked the Denver Nuggets first quarter. It was a 0.75 unit play. Then I added Nikola Jokic over his 29.5 points when I saw the message came out that Mike Malone said that he wanted them to be more aggressive. That was a 0.75 unit play as well. And then after the first quarter, probably should have waited till halftime. After the first quarter, I jumped on Denver money line as well, and they got smoked yesterday. Shout out to the Timberwolves. I don't think I'll be betting against them anytime soon, and we take a huge step backwards. A minus 2.25 units yesterday, which drops us back down excuse me, to minus 6 units on this season. I slept terrible last night because of it. But let's jump into a couple games that we have for today. I didn't get a chance to check the comments to see who won the member giveaway, but I will, and I'll reach out to the winner, and you guys can do the same for the two games today. If you are a member, just pick the correct side and pick the total of the game as well. How you think it's gonna go, how you think it's gonna be, and I'll announce the winner for yesterday's game and tomorrow's game, and today's game on tomorrow's show. One guess per game, of course, and your first guess is your only guess. And you guys can see the shirt sizes, black, white, everything is right there. Entry must be made before the game actually tips off. And shout out to everybody for joining and for tuning in this morning. Let's see. Like I said, I'm not gonna be able to get to all the comments. What up, Pasty? I see you in here. Says good morning, Chris. Mom, it's just the bet. Says Chris, the real ones that stuck with the Timberwolves last night paid big, like my morning burrito I'm having. All up in the chat. I'm glad somebody made some money. What up, prestigious prodigy? Tasha says good morning, everyone. Nice night for herself. Savvy says, Chris, you picked Denver. I picked Denver last night. I picked them in the first quarter, then doubled down, and they look terrible, man. Jamie likes Celtics early. We're going to talk about all these games. What's up to my guy, Justin? As always, sold and Welly says, Denver, bruh. Man, that's how I felt. I was watching the game with my eyes. I looked like Bobby Portis last night, like my eyes wide open. Marcus says, he slept so bad last night, man. Boy, it was bad, man. It was bad. But, it's long-term sports betting, right? If you're new to this, you don't understand it. Your unit size may not be appropriately, but you win some, you lose some. And yesterday, boy. LJ says Wolves 12-3 on the road versus the West last 15 games since February the 12th. And remember, I gave you guys that stat yesterday, 7-0 straight up when they're playing a team that they just recently played as well, 6-1 against the spread. Maybe I should have just listened to that. But the historical trends, they said to back Denver yesterday, Jamal Murray just been in jail. He literally been in jail, probably trying to get out. But let's get into the games for today. It's 2 games on the board. Like I said, it'll be a shorter show. Excuse me. I got a lot of things going on today. So let's jump into it. First game up, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. This line actually opened at 10.5. And of course, opened at 10.5 as soon as Cleveland won Game 7 at home the other day. And excuse me. You see it open at 10.5 on DraftKings. Then it gets moved to 11. Then it gets moved to 11.5. And now you're seeing some 12s pop up as well. I see a 12 on DraftKings. I see a 12 on South Point. And we'll jump into it. We'll jump right into it. Let's go. In the total open, I saw it at 208. Then I saw it at 206. I saw it at 209. And it's looked like it's kind of leveled out around 208 and a half right now, depending on where you're shopping. But this is the consensus right now. So real quick, I'm not going to go through all of this, but season series, you guys can see Boston did win Game 1. It was 120 to 113. I just kind of, took what I took away from the game and then just added some notes for you guys so you can see how it went. Boston was laying 11. They did not cover the spread. They won the game by 7. Total was 226, and they went over. You can see both teams shot 40% from the three-point line. Dean Wade did play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, he will not be out there today. And I should also mention that Jared Allen is also listed as questionable. And of course, for Boston, Porzingis is listed as out. This game was played before Christmas. Game 2 played before Christmas 2 days later. And Boston won that one as well. 116 to 107. They were laying 8.5 points in that spot. So they did get a cover by half a point in that one. And that total was 227.5. You see the total. You see the this total goes under. And this one didn't have Evan Mobley. Dean Wade also played in this game. And I put Porzingis numbers in all of these graphics because, of course, he won't be present. So they'll need big minutes from, Luke Cornett, Al Horford, and those guys, which I think that they're fully capable of. Game 3, Cleveland actually beat Boston. This was a TNT game before Boston went out on the West Coast road trip. I think they had the Denver Nuggets on deck for the next game. And Cleveland beat them. That was the game that Donovan Mitchell didn't play. Dean Wade went absolutely crazy. I think he scored or it might have been him and Max Strus. But I know Dean Wade had 23 points off the bench. Cleveland shot 47% from the three-point line. I thought that was pretty interesting because they shot 47% from the three-point line that game and still only scored 104 points. I think that's pretty telling, but we'll jump into that. I wanted to to mention that real quick. So I looked at this Cleveland team, and they've been a fade on the road, right? You could even fade them against the Orlando Magic in the first round on the road. They finished 19-25 against the spread on the road, just 10-4, 10-14 against the spread on the road as dogs. And you guys can see the numbers there: 41.7% ATS on the road. In the 16 games that they when Cleveland didn't cover, they finished just 2-14 against the spread. So if they didn't cover on the road as a dog, they lost by average of 15.5 points, and they only covered 2 spreads. So you look at Boston on the opposite side. I mean, we know what Boston is. They finished 24-18-2 against the spread as home favorites. As double-digit home favorites, they actually finished 13-7-2. That's 65%. When they won by double digits, they did cover, and they won the game by an average of 21 points. So the graphic that I have up here for you guys is this is the first trend that I gave you guys. So, the second one. So when Denver lost as a road dog, when Cleveland lost as a road dog, you can see that out of the 16 times that they lost, they only covered 2 times, lost by average of 15.5 points per game. The only cover that they have in here is against the Clippers. That was after the All-Star break. And then last thing I have on here is 9 of the last 11 games as double-digit favorites. Boston is actually going over their team total, which we'll address in just a second as well. Excuse me. So situationally, it's a Boston spot. You got, whenever you have these road dogs that's coming off a game 7 with less than 2 days rest, you see the numbers there: 15-20 against the spread. They're only covering 43% of the time. And then you got these home favorites laying double digits with more rest in game 1s. They are 13-5 against the spread, and they're winning by an average of 16 points. So the only way I'm looking in this game is towards Boston. I do think there is some validity to Cleveland potentially keeping the game close early. Now, we know Boston has been one of the best first half teams, but in this game specifically, Cleveland should wear down the longer the game goes on. Whenever you're coming off of such an emotional game, like a game 7 that the Cleveland Cavaliers are, with only 1 day of rest in between, something tells me you probably get ran off the floor in the second half of the game as well. Don't let me talk you off, betting Boston first half, but I like Boston for the full game versus taking them taking them early. Could it be a trifecta spot? It absolutely could. But the only way I'm looking in this game is towards Boston. Like I said, home favorites when they land double digits with more rest in game 1, 13-5 against the spread, winning by an average of 16 points, which you guys can see here. So Boston team total, I think, is also in play. Let me touch on that real quick. So I already mentioned 9 of the last 11 games when they were double-digit home favorites that they've cleared their team total. And Boston actually finished 15-9 to the over as double-digit favorites this season as well. and 6-3 to the over after the All-Star break, and they averaged 117 points per game, 17 points per game. So it's a Boston spot for me. I don't think you gotta really think this one. It's Boston or nothing for me. Real quick, I'll go through the comments super quick, and then we'll move on to the second game. Trace asking about the first quarter, first half. I didn't play it, but if you like it, don't let me talk you off. Nando made some money with Carlton Towns yesterday. We move on, Marcus. It's gambling, man. You're not gonna win every single game. I need to get back into the winning column though. James says Pacers fan here fell asleep on the end of the game, and I'm glad I did. The Pacers game. Hey, that's a good way to get it out, Marcus. Throw some weights around, man. Get in there, get swole. I'm gonna be doing the same thing a little bit later this evening. Dano says, "Oh, you heard yesterday is a nugget spot. Yeah, on the way trifecta, especially after the Wolves 6-1. Yeah, that was the other side of it, Dano. But I'm not betting against that situational spot. If it was, I just lose my money every time because you bet with the numbers in that spot. Long term, you're gonna make a lot more money than the Timberwolves. Than back in the road dog. That's still a road dog in game 2. But I understand what you're saying. Glad you made some money yesterday, Alex. I know a lot of people made money with the Timberwolves. I'm glad y'all did. I did not. Justin played the Cavs plus 2.5 and 2.5 games in his pocket at plus 160. Thinks it's going to be a little bit longer series. Nano says, because I got a 5% play for you. What is it? Cavs finna get smoked like this perp lemon punch just did. What else? What else? Trying to stick the comments for this game. Jamie says Cavs broke an 11-game losing streak on March 5th with no Mitchell. Brown said that's what happens when you take your foot off the gas. Don't put an NBA team away. Celtics first quarter, he likes them early. Okay. Alex says teams coming off a 7-game series usually lose bad first game next series. From what I saw, I'm taking Celtics first quarter, first half, and full game. I couldn't talk you off taking the whole trifecta spot here. It makes a ton of sense. What up, PZ? He says Wolves cashed yesterday. Dominic says need to hear your thoughts on the Thunder. I'm going to that game in a second. I'll get to that game in a second. Mark says I'm going back to Boston -7 in the first half. Has been good to him. Talk you off of that at all. LDS says Boston about to smoke them boys. What up, my guy Godspeed? What up, man? Hope all is well with you. Chris says, do people believe in the Wolves now? I think you got to. But I don't even know, man. Like, I don't want to talk too much about the game, but I don't know if it was necessarily the Wolves or the Nuggets. Like, do you blame the Wolves for that? Like, is that like credit in the Wolves, or is that like the Nuggets just looking like a complete shell of themselves? Like, even the sure thing, which was Michael Porter Jr., he couldn't even score last night. They really looked, off kilter yesterday. They looked uncentered, just really flustered. But yeah, give a lot of credit to the Timberwolves. I like the Timberwolves. Just because they took my money last night, don't mean I don't like them. Soul says you got Boston to cover. Line moving, so I would jump on it now if you guys want them to cover. I do think that it's a double-digit win for Boston. And if I had to play it, I would be laying the points. I did not play it though. So did not play it. Jay Fuller says Celtics could just punk them game 1 and series is done. Let them know who's boss. And then it says Boston win at all 4 quarters. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Boston wins 1 or 2 quarters by so many points that they don't even need to cover the other quarter. And we've seen this happen before, where they'll win a quarter 31-20, then win the next quarter 34-17, and then they take their foot off the gas and just play that reserve. So I don't like that one as much. LJ says, I agree, Chris. Boston at home versus the East, take full game spread. Boston on the road versus the East, take first half. And that's absolutely been it. Boston's been the best first half team on the road throughout the entire season, and it's not even close. Marcus, you support my channel just by hitting the thumbs up, man. That's all I ask. Nano says, Chris, you don't live bet? I did live bet the game. I live bet Denver after the first quarter, thinking there was no way that they were going to lose the game. And then the second quarter happened, and I stayed off the rest of the game. I actually just went to sleep in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I like this Boston first quarter over. Tasha says OKC and Dallas is hard. We're going to get there in a second. I'm trying to get through some of these comments. Don says, does Sam Hauser get more run today, you think? I could see it. I could definitely see it. LDS says, yeah, Nuggets body language did definitely told it all. They also wasn't just getting a lot of foul calls either, but we'll see. All right, let's keep pushing. Let's go to the next game real quick before I get out of here. I do got an opinion on this game as well. So we got the Mavs and the Thunder. We got the Thunder at the crib. They are laying 3.5 points in this spot. Line opened at 3, and you see a little bit of money come in on Dallas on OKC here to push it to 3.5, and you also see the total move from 214.5 all the way up to 218. This should say 218.5 now. Even since last night, this total has moved a full point. It was 217.5 last night when I made the graphics. This morning it's up to 218.5 here. So injuries, we got to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr., who is coming back. He missed most of the series last in the first round against the Los Angeles Clippers. We got Luka listed as probable. He's going to play, but Maxi Kleber is out. And I think that is going to be a detriment for the Dallas Mavericks offense, especially with how, they have that. They kind of have him in his back pocket. He kind of like a wild card, somebody that can stretch the floor. But let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into it. So first thing I'll do is I'll kind of recap the games as I like to do between, all the series, so you guys can see them here. OKC was laying 5 points in game number 1. They won and covered the spread by a point. 126 to 120. Total was 235.5. Game was played on December the 2nd. You can see here OKC shot really, really well. 45% from the three-point line. They hit 23s. Kyrie didn't play in that game. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford weren't yet available for the team. Game 2, Dallas smoked OKC 146 to 111. OKC was actually laying 1.5 points in that game as well. And that game went well over the total of 239 points. That game was on February the 10th. You can see OKC was held to just 39% shooting. Dallas actually won the first quarter, 47 to 20. OKC battled back a little bit in the second quarter, but then Dallas blew them out in the third quarter again. I think they scored 37 or 39 points in the third quarter in that game. So it was pretty much over with at that point. And then the third game, Luka didn't play in, so you could throw this game away as well. OKC did win. They were laying, almost double digits in that spot. They ended up winning the game by 7. Both teams shot 41% from the three-point line, another high-scoring game. And then you see SGA went off for 31. Kyrie also had 36 without Luka being there. That game was on March the 14th. And then the last game you guys see, OKC, this was the absolute throwaway game. It was the last game of the season. Dallas didn't play any of their starters because they were already locked into the 5th seed. OKC needed the game because they needed to be the guaranteed number 1 seed, because remember, them and Minnesota and Denver were all tied for the number 1 seed on the last day of the season. And OKC smoked Dallas second unit 135 to 86. So not a lot to look towards in that game. It did go over the total, and OKC did cover as 19.5 point favorites. So let's jump into it. One of the things I really that's really difficult for me to bet against is the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. So you guys can see the numbers here. This is very similar to the charts that I shared with you guys yesterday, which I'll share with you guys in a second here as well. But I can't bet against Oklahoma City at home, especially in game number 1 with the rest advantage here. OKC comes into this series 35-8 straight up, which is the second best home record in the NBA behind the Boston Celtics. They finished 28-15 against the spread. They also have 4 days rest advantage here. They have 7 days of rest to Dallas 3 days of rest. And you can see the offensive numbers. They are plus 14.8 in points scored per 100 possessions, 122.8 points scored per 100 possessions, which is actually third in out of all the offenses at home. And then defensively, they're still stout as well. Opponents only shooting 51% from the floor, which is the second best. This is through the entirety of the regular season. And they're forcing the third most turnovers. Dallas is a really good team at protecting the basketball, but OKC does have really good sticky fingers. They get their hands in there and get their hands on steals as well. So you can see that
forcing the third most turnovers, and they're allowing teams to just the second fewest points scored per 100 possessions at 108 just 108 in general. So really, really difficult to bet against OKC. I thought I wanted to make sure I pointed that out first and foremost. And it's no shade towards Dallas. They look excellent for much of the first round. But with a healthy Kawhi, I think that series could have changed. It could have been different in my opinion. Similarly, a healthy Zion could have changed the Pelicans and the Thunder series as well. And I looked into, the Dallas Mavericks. This is a team that went just 5-12 straight up, 8-9 against the spread as road dogs this season. And I think it's pretty telling because as a road favorite, the Mavs were actually one of the better teams in the league. They finished 22-5 straight up, 21-6 against the spread. So much different splits when Dallas is a road dog versus Dallas being a road favorite. And in Dallas's 12 losses as road dogs, they actually only covered 3 of the 12 spreads, and they lost by average of 19 points. Now, do I think they get smoked in this game? I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. But a couple more things I wanted to talk about if you are of the idea that you like the Oklahoma City Thunder in game one. So this is the same charts that I showed you guys yesterday. So a couple things that stand out to me here. One, I think if you like OKC, they should be able to make some threes. Dallas's three-point defense has been shaky at best in the first round and throughout the second half of the season. Dallas is not on this chart right here, but Dallas, they ranked 16 out of the 18 teams, 16 out of the 18 teams at opponent three-point accuracy in the first round. They allowed the Clippers to shoot 37% from the three-point line. Remember the Clippers getting hot in a couple of those games, and those were the games that they actually won. You look at this OKC team, and this is on the chart. This is a team that likes to really get out and run in transition. Right here, you guys can see OKC's numbers, and this is for these numbers on the right-hand side are after the All-Star break. These numbers on the left-hand side are the play-in. So this is specifically OKC in the first round against the Pelicans. This team was third in fast break frequency since the playoffs started, which you guys can see there. And Dallas is allowing the fourth most fast break opportunities, and they rank towards the bottom as far as opponent fast break points allowed per 100 possessions as well. Excuse me. So if you like it, so this is what I really like this part for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like that the Dallas Mavericks struggle against the three-point line because OKC likes to shoot a ton of threes, and I also like that OKC should have the advantage in the fast break. You guys can see, like I said, right here, third in transition frequency, seventh in points scored, and look at Dallas. You don't want to be in red. Dallas is in red in both of these categories here, and this is very symbolic of the regular season. You can see OKC's fast break frequency is fourth, and you can see their points scored, and you can see Dallas's fast break frequency as well. So if you like Dallas, you don't necessarily like that at all. Now, keeping it pushing, if you like the Mavs, and people, I know some people gonna like the Mavs. If you like the Mavs here, with OKC's defense being so good, and you guys can actually see OKC's defense right here, right? Look at this. If you look here, you can see OKC's defense in the play-in / playoffs. Number one, they're giving up giving up 82.3 points per 100 possessions, which ranks number one. That means their half-court defense is stout. But not only is it their half-court defense, you guys can see here, Dallas, as far as like running the transition, they are seventh in frequency, second in points scored per 100 possessions in transition. But OKC's defense is actually number one. They are the number one transition defense in the playoffs. And that's very, very symbolic of what they did at the end of the season as well. Because you see after the All-Star break, they are second in limited opponent transition frequency, first in points scored per 100 possessions. So this is after the All-Star break, not including the playoffs. This is in the playoffs in the first round specifically. So if you like Dallas here, one thing that does jump out to me is here. OKC, they really struggle to rebound the basketball, right? So you're going to need Dallas to be able to take advantage of OKC on the offensive glass. OKC is allowing the sixth most offensive rebounds in the playoffs, and they're allowing teams to get points off their misses and putback opportunities almost more than almost anybody else. You can see it right here, 18th and 19th in points per miss allowed and putback opportunities here. And that was because the Pelicans really took advantage of them. This was also something that you guys could see over here that happened after the All-Star break. OKC really struggles with size. So Daniel Gafford, guys like Derek Lively, you're betting on them to have big games if you do like the Dallas Mavericks here. Last thing I wanted to point out is pace, right? So I think, looking at these games, looking at kind of trying to project how I think the games are going to be played in this series, I actually think they're going to be a bit faster, and I agree with the totals going up. One thing I think that was super interesting was that Dallas in the first round, they played against the Clippers. The Clippers played at the 20th slowest pace in the regular season. Excuse me. The Clippers weren't a fast-paced team. However, Dallas themselves actually finished 7th in pace, and OKC finished 5th in pace on the season. So I think this is going to be a up and down type game. Already showed you guys the numbers. OKC likes to get out, run the break. Dallas defense is not that great against transition defense, against transition offenses. And like I said, I kind of agree with the total going up here. I'm willing to lay the 3.5 here. I haven't done so yet, but I'm only taking OKC in game one. I like the rest advantage. I like the defense that they play at home. I think that they're a healthier team, especially without Kleber being there. Tim Hardaway Jr. could look like a shell of himself with being his first game back after missing 4 or 5 games. And I also think Luka's still a little banged up here, in my opinion, as well. I like OKC for game one, either minus the 3.5 or their team total over 10.5. And it's no shade towards Dallas, because I think Dallas could potentially win this series. I just like OKC to punch first in this game. So that's what I like, man. Real quick before I get into the recap, let me just see what the chat is saying here before we before I get up off here. Excuse me. Justin says Boston team total is my top play. I like it. I like it a lot, Justin. Danwood says any chance laying the favorites? Is it? Any chance laying the favorites? Is it? I think you mean, do I like the favorites? Yeah, I like both favorites today. What else y'all saying? Yeah, Nando, I agree with this. Credit to the Wolves. What else? So that's Dallas, OKC going to be a goodie. I agree. Nando likes the money line for OKC. Chris Raptor says Maxey out, more run for PJ Washington. I would agree with that. Even though PJ Washington had already been starting, and I think he played, north of 30 minutes in every game throughout the postseason so far. Mark says I'm a Mavs fan, but I'm going OKC and lean over. I agree with that. Mavs winning this series, Chris. I could see the Mavs winning. I don't have a play on the full series price. I just like OKC in game one. Nando says, Chris, OKC winning the series in 6 games. I don't know, man. I think this one goes 7. I could be wrong, but I think this one goes 7. Jay Clicks likes Luka to average. He says he averages 32, 11, and 10 on Dort last 7 games. That's an interesting look there. I didn't think about how I didn't look into Luka's number against Dort. Dort's definitely going to be there to slow him down, though. I definitely think Dort's going to be glued to him the same way he was to Brandon Ingram. Remember, Luka started slow in game number 1 when they played against the Clippers. He had to match that aggression. And if you think that Clippers defense is good, it's nothing at all compared to OKC's defense, especially at home. OKC, I showed you guys the numbers. OKC's defense at home, one of the reasons why I like them in this game number 1. Markel likes the Mavs on the money line, so thinking opposite. Brian B says OKC money line. And he says the Wolves gonna beat the Nuggets for the 3rd game in a row. Nando likes Kyrie points under. I wouldn't touch an under on Kyrie. Melvin Davis says top of the morning. I'm trying to play it safe with Boston first half, minus the 5.5, minus 140, and the Thunder on the money line. Okay. He says huge coaching advantage for the Thunder, in my opinion. You don't like Coach Kidd, man? I did see that Jason Kidd just got a contract extension. Typically, you want to fade after that. I knew my guy Godspeed was going to say it. Boots on the ground tonight in OKC. Thunder in 6, Chris. Okay. I thought he had a play for today's game. Tasha says she likes the Mavs team total over 106.5. Oh, my guy LJ says OKC first quarter, 17-7 against the spread versus the West first quarter. last 24, and Jalen Williams will be the X factor in this series. Couldn't talk you off. Could not talk you off. Especially if you think Derrick Jones Jr. is going to end up on SGA, which I would kind of agree to that. It's going to have to be a big Jalen Williams series. I would agree. Chet Holmgren also going to have to be able to pull Daniel Gafford away from the rim, him and Derek Lively as well. And now Boogie says, Chris, agree on the rest advantage over the entirety of the game for OKC. I like the Mavs early, first quarter. Thanks for the info as always. Tariq says, appreciate you, Boogie. Tariq says, good morning, Chris. Caught the show. Luka saw what happened to Denver yesterday. They're going to beef up the defense. I like OKC in the under. And yeah, I couldn't talk you off. I like the over, though. I do like the over a little bit more. And yeah, one more thing I wanted to share real quick. As far as that game goes, I actually forgot to write this down, but I did screenshot it. So if you're looking at home favorites that have a 3-day or more rest advantage in the playoffs that are coming off a sweep versus an opponent that played more than 5 games, they are 18-4 straight up, 15-7 against the spread. That's 68.2%. Says that OKC wins and covers today. So again, that's home favorites with the 3 or more day rest advantage, coming off a sweep versus an opponent that win at least 6 games. It speaks to the rest advantage. It speaks to them being a home favorite. So yeah, I like OKC today. Haven't played it yet, but that's what I'm thinking here. A couple more comments real quick before I get out of here. Hey man, what do you think about Josh Giddey over 1.5 threes? They always leave him wide open in the corner. Yeah, I couldn't talk you off of that. He's definitely going to be the guy that you want to sag off and make him have to beat you. So if you think Josh Giddey is going to knock down some shots, yeah, he's definitely going to have the opportunities. If you're Dallas, that's a shot you want to concede to. I would absolutely agree there. So yeah, that's it for today's show, man. Appreciate you as well, Justin. I see your comment just popped up. Haven't bet anything yet, but this is what I would play if I had to make some bets today. I'm probably going to get to the window with a couple of these. I just want to see the status of Jared Allen before I bet Boston, but it's Boston or nothing for me. Like the team total a little bit more than I like the spread, just because we know Boston can be, they can be a little iffy sometimes with these spreads, but they have been covering in the playoffs so far. And even if Jared Allen plays, he might not be 100%. So it's Boston minus the 11.5 for nothing. Boston team total over 109.5. And then the same thing for the other games as well. I like the favorites today. OKC minus the 3.5 and their team total to go over 110.5 as well. And what I may end up doing is playing one of these from each game and just going a half unit. Or if I play all 4, it'll be a half unit on each versus going a full unit on each. So this is the way I'm looking at the games, man. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Again, make sure you guys, members, make sure you leave in your your bets, your bets for the t-shirt giveaway. Let me know the side that you think is going to win. And the actual predicted score as well. Resources that I use to cap the games are here. Shout out to OzJam as always. Best sports betting software in the world, on the planet, in my opinion. 25% off your first month if you guys are interested in checking them out using code CBC at checkout. And as always, man, if you found the show helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, share the show, subscribe if you're new. Link for all my official plays in the description. Definitely need a bounce back spot today. Bet responsibly, best of luck, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. I'm out.